All right, Russ, man. I always want to say thank you for, man, you've done such an incredible job helping me put this thing together. And you have connected me to different people in the podcasting that would be dream guests for most people, and that you were able to facilitate some really cool things. But also, I just want to say thank you for just having a great friendship. And
Absolutely.
you've been around since like the very beginning for me, and I just want to say thank you and looking forward to sharing more stages and doing more projects with you.
I appreciate
So
that. Thank you so much, Dwayne. Pleasure to be on here.
absolutely, it's still waiting to connect on LinkedIn. All right, we're we're
Sure.
we're live on LinkedIn now, so I could go ahead and hide you. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being a part of another exciting episode of Show Up to Win presents Show Up to Hill. This is going to be episode 24, and I am so excited and just I have the utmost gratitude for this man, Mr. Russell Rogers. So I'm gonna bring him up. Let's see where to find. They changed some things with Riverside, and so let's see if I can. There you go. Here you go. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Gotta love when things change, and then you have to be like,
Yes.
right,
Yeah. Where is that button?
right, exactly. And then we're live too. So, um, but yeah, man, I just want to say thank you for coming on, and I love reading people's bios, and so they can receive their bio. And so I'm really
Mm,
wanting to just speak on your bio, and then I'm gonna ask a question on your bio. So,
sure.
author, speaker, and community builder Russ Rogers is on a mission to spark personal reinvention through health, wellness, and authentic connection. As the visionary behind the Impact Today live event series and the Next Gen Visionaries project, Russ brings together dynamic leaders in local communities across the country to elevate their physical and mental well being. From his roots founding Move Today 365 to hosting high energy live events, Russ empowers people to break through limitations, build meaningful relationships, and thrive together. Okay, Russ. So how does that land, man, when you hear people talk about what you've done and what you've accomplished, your accolades?
Honestly, I just got goosebumps just hearing you read that. It just I get teary eyed, just because this is still just fresh and new inside of me, Dwayne, because this all happened post COVID in about 22. That's kind of when everything started in motion. And I had no idea in 2022 what was going to come about in the next 3.5 years to where we are today. It just, I'm humbled. I'm excited because I've come to where I am today, but I know this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. And so when I hear you read those things, speaker, author, entrepreneur, like it excites me because I'm just tapping in to what is to come. And I just want to do whatever I can to impact this generation and the next in whatever capacity I can. So whether it's meeting an individual, whether it's meeting a group of people, whether it's meeting a community, whatever it is, that is my goal, is to impact lives of people.
Man, I love that. And also I'm like you, this is very new. And I like to just think of things as marathons. I feel like it's mile 2.5, and I'm just like excited because it's the beginning and the impact, right? So I definitely
Hmm.
understand that, and I'm like you, I get goosebumps too when people read things about me and they share a perspective, and I'm like, man, like I want to meet that guy. Um so to get into the men's mental health awareness, like I have one question that I've asked every speaker so far. What do you feel like we're doing correctly? What do you feel like we're missing the boat? And what do you feel like that we could do better?
I think that in our society today, that there's probably more and more people who are bringing to people's attention. We have a month at the beginning of the year, towards the beginning of the year, that is dedicated to mental awareness. I believe that people are more on board as far as what is out there and what is happening in the lives of people. but I still feel like we are so far away from really helping people out. I think that when you think about COVID, when you think about what it did to our society, I don't know what it was like for you where you live, but I was just telling with my friend Dominique the other day that here on the beaches in California, the beach was open until 11 a.m. You could move on the beach. You couldn't sit on the beach up until 11 a.m. And then at 11 a.m. till 5 p.m., the beach was closed. And it's like, okay, the only thing that you could do was walk from the edge of the sand or the car parking lot to the beach and get in the water. That's all you could do. You could just pass through it. But after 5, the beaches were now open. But again, you couldn't sit on the beach. You could only move on the beach. And then we lived in our homes, we lived in these cocoons because we couldn't go outside. We couldn't do the things that we wanted to do. We had to stay 6 feet apart. People became more sedentary in their lifestyle in those 2 years of COVID, right? We're wearing masks. I remember recalling going and visiting my granddaughter, who at the time was like 3 years old, and they're out on the playground and they're all wearing masks. And I just got this overwhelming sense of what is happening here. What is going to happen with the impact of these little children all wearing masks and going and trying to live in society? And I just think that, when you look at these kinds of things, like we're doing good things. There are people that are out there doing really good things, but we're just very touching the edge of mental awareness because it is an overwhelming problem in our society today, particularly in America. Just recently, knowing some friends who have lost sons, who have lost siblings to committing suicide because they couldn't deal with their issues any longer. And what I preach is to set aside devices, put this thing away for a time throughout each and every day, to get out in Mother Nature, to get out in society. And I know I'm not the only one that's talking about it, but we've got to get away from our homes. We've got to get away from devices. We've got to get outside and we've got to move our bodies. We need to get that sunshine vitamin D that we need each and every day because that gives us mental clarity. Yesterday, I went for about a 2-mile walk and I go to this one spot in the beach and I walk down these stairs. And when I get down there, I'm just taking it all in. And you know what I typed in on my notes on my feed that day, yesterday, was mental clarity. Because when I see that ocean move, when I see those waves, start to build up and to express themselves in the ocean, like it just moves me to clarity. And so I'm able to do that. And of course, getting a good sweat and getting out there. And so we need to be doing more of this. People need to be doing more of getting the word out to help those people that are in need.
Yeah, I love that. So for men, with this being men's mental health awareness, I think the thing is like to move and get clarity and like get more out in nature. So for me, I live in Kentucky. A little different story. Like we did some of that stuff, and then after a while, I was like, okay, we did like this for about 3 to 6 months, like, and then every some people would start saying, hey, we're going outside, we're going to the lake, we're going fishing.
Yeah.
It did shut down for about 3 months. That was different. And I think also right now, I think a lot of people are just starting to see the impact of what that did, the
Hmm.
isolation. Then people went
Hmm.
to crutches like alcohol and things like that. And I think for us, we're at least having the conversation now. And I think that's important to be able to have great people like you being able to come on here, share a perspective. So you were talking about movement, and it's a big part of what I do every day. How important is movement? And I also know you're an athlete too, so I know you also, that's something that's been ingrained. How important is it to move every day?
Well, it's everything, right? When you think about movement, you think about our bodies. There's all different types of movement that we can do. I know you're a basketball fan. You get out and you play basketball. You got tennis. You got walking. You got biking. You got hiking. There's so many avenues. You got yoga. You've got Pilates. There's different things. Surfing in my community. beach volleyball. I love to play a good beach volleyball game. I love to get out and play some 2-on-2. I've got two different groups at two different beaches. I love to do that because not only is it healthy for me physically, it's healthy for me mentally, but then it also connects me with the men's community. There are some women that come, but it's mostly men. And so it connects me, and being able to spend time with these guys outside of the volleyball court or on the beach, but it's a time where I can just set aside everything in my day and get out there and just get a good sweat, be competitive, play some sports, have some fun, have some laughs, and kind of grind on each other, with little stabs, here and there, and just having some good, fun, competitive nature. So it's important that we find something as men. We find something that we can do, and we can do it consistently. So not only is it for us to get out there and to do it, but community is another thing that I really talk a lot about. We need one another. We need men in our lives. We need groups in our lives. We need community in our lives. And we're not made, God did not make us to be isolated. God did not make us to live in shells. God did not make us to be set aside and remove ourselves from society. We are meant to be with one another. And so I just want to encourage all of those that are listening out there today, the importance of movement. Find something, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 things. Mix it up, do different things so you don't get bored. You could get on a Peloton. You could join a gym. You could create your own gym. There's all different types of things. But one of the greatest things that we can all do each and every day is just take a walk. And we can all do that no matter where we live. Just take a walk and get outside and to connect with nature, connect with the city, connect with a local park. Just get out there and move our bodies.
Yeah, I love that. So for you, and I look at you as a leader in the community and things like that. What do you feel like our responsibility is for the youth to help raise other strong men into this and be like and give them that type of mindset to realize how important community is part of this, but also it's important to their mental health to be a part of some type of community and some type of belonging, because I think that's what we all are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I go into schools and I speak to kids. And I remember, giving these kids, I was in a classroom this one particular day on the East Coast, and I finished the talk after about an hour. And I said, all right, so what are we looking forward to, kids? As soon as we get out of school, what is the one thing that you're looking forward to today? And after talking an hour about mental health and mental awareness and moving our bodies and get outside and doing activities, the response that I got from these kids is, oh, I can't wait to get home and jump on my video. I can't wait to go and then play video games, And it was just polar opposite of exactly what I was just talking about for the last hour. Well, the thing about it is our young generation of kids, they don't know any better. And so they grow up on devices, they grow up on video games, they grow up on living life in their bedroom. And it is so important as parents, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as speakers to basically ingrain this next generation of the importance. Because if you think about it, Dwayne, if you have a kid that is 10, 12, 14 years old and they know nothing else but devices, like it's going to be much more of a challenge. So my challenge is for parents to step up to the plate and make the hard decisions and say, no, we're going to put time limits on these things. No, you've got to get outside of your bedroom. No, you have to do these things. And we as parents and as leaders have to do those things and to take those hard stands. The books that I wrote on today are all about the first 5 years of a kid's life. So if a parent really impacts the kids at an early age, then they don't get the chance to really get set in on being ingrained in devices. And so when I talk about devices, right, we're talking about phone, we're talking about video games, we're talking about television. Those are the kinds of things that just eat up so much of our time. And so we as leaders have to really get to the point of reaching our young generation and even the ones that aren't even born yet, ingraining it into the parents and future parents of America.
Yeah. So for me at that age, like as soon as I started reading, I want to read a book. It was go
Mm.
outside, play, come read book. Like I don't know where we lost that part. And also, like, I was part of the generation with the Atari, Nintendo. So
Me
I
too.
also, but also realized that we had boundaries with how long we could play. So there's a lot of aspects of this video game culture, and I mean, I know people who get paid to play video games too. Like,
Yeah.
so I understand that, like, you want to be, you're talented and you need to practice and those type of things, but like, we can move too at the same time. I think there's this happy medium you can find even with the people who are like elite gamers. So one of the things for me, is I think that we need men to step up and share our things that are crutches, or just be more vulnerable, transparent, brave, more courageous, to be able to say, "Hey, I did this. This is not the way you want to go." And you know, so I love the way that you're going into schools and doing your messaging. How important is that for this generation to be able to see that? Because I feel like that's where we need to start, is just to bring more awareness to those kids that, like, hey, there is a different option.
Yeah, I think back about my life, Dwayne, and you think about kids today. When I go back and I look at my life, it's like, my parents had to tell me to come inside, right? And now parents have to do just the opposite, like go outside, right? It's just the opposite. They're pushing, and my parents were pulling, but I would be outside playing basketball or swimming in the pool till midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. Like, those summertime, my parents didn't care. We were outside playing. We didn't know any different. We would ride bikes. We would create different fun things. I don't know if you remember, but like, those big electrical lines, they come on those oh, I don't know what pinwheels kind of things, those wooden pinwheels. And so we had some that were left over, and so we had them on our property, and we would get out there and get on them, and like we're walking on a log, in a river or on a lake, and we would get out there and we'd do that in the middle of the street. Of course, we were on a country road, but we just made stuff up. We just had fun. We played, tag in the cornfields. So, we as parents, we as leaders have to be the example for the next generation, for our children. Like, if all they do is see us scrolling on the phone, well, what are they going to do? If we're going to give them a phone at 5, 6, 7 years of age, kids don't need a phone at that age. They don't need to be locked into their room. We need to be together. I mean, I don't know about your upbringing, but for me, like, we were always around the kitchen table having meals together. My dad lived a very busy life, had a construction company, but every day around 5:30 in the evening, guess what we did? We always had dinner around the table. So it was our time that we had together as a family, and then we did whatever we did. But I wouldn't lock myself in the room. I wouldn't stay in there. I had no television, and of course Atari was getting hooked up to the TV. So if I wanted to play video games, I had to go into the living room where everybody was to play video games. But that wasn't really my nature. My nature was, I want to be outside playing. I want to be with my friends. I want to hang out. I want to have fun. But we as leaders and as business people and as parents, we need to set the tone for this and next generation of kids to follow.
Yeah. So for me is, we would ride bikes, play basketball, play baseball in the summertime, and so it was built around sports, but then it was also around fishing, and then later on
Hmm.
hunting and those type of things. So I think there's just this outdoors part that maybe some of the people that are in bigger cities don't get. I mean, for me, it was like we enjoyed that, but we also did a lot of the things like what you're saying, is we just made stuff up. We built forts out in the woods. So maybe it is also just the culture of like the environment too, maybe that's part of it. I'm
Hmm.
not sure. I just know that if we don't talk about it, have conversation, we're not going to find a solution. We're going to keep,
That's right.
then we're going to go into the medical community, and then it's going to get into where it's, well, have a pill for this symptom, have a pill for this symptom. I just feel like I'm more of a solution type base person.
Hmm.
Um, so one of the things that I feel kind of led to ask is if you had someone who, and I know you've had experience with this, but I feel like it is one of those things to hear a wise person be able to share this perspective. If a friend came to you and said, "Hey, I'm dealing with this," how does Russ like act? How do you receive? How do you help and support people?
Number one is listen. The most important thing that we can do to help somebody that is in need is to be a listening ear to somebody who needs somebody to talk to, that somebody can open up and share to, and that people can trust. I have a friend right now that's going through a situation, and when we connected just about 6 weeks ago, it was like, I wanted to be there, for them and help them through their situation. I'm not a therapist. I am a friend, and I am one that cares about people. I want to help people. I want to offer up advice whenever that is advice is necessary. I think a lot of times we're so quick to respond with our own opinion, but a lot of times people that are in need, whatever the situation is that they're going through, is they just want somebody that they can trust and somebody that they can open up and share and to be vulnerable with if they feel like they can be. And then for us to offer up advice when it's necessary, or when they feel like they're ready to receive. So I think that a communication skill that people oftentimes lack is listening. So if we can just listen to that individual and let them pour their hearts out, cry if they need to cry, give them a hug if they need a hug, whatever it is at that moment in time or times, that it means more than anything, and then just being available for that person. Because if we're not available, then the person is, who knows, maybe go to somebody else, or maybe not find anyone, right? So I think that we've got to be open and available to hear and to listen to what they have to say, and offer advice whenever they feel like they are open to receiving that advice.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said listening first. I think we get, and I'm saying this very generally, is that sometimes I think we get into like fixing things. So one
Hmm.
of the things that I realized about 6 to 9 months ago is I don't give unsolicited advice anymore. Like
Hmm.
I feel like sometimes people give unsolicited advice. Most people just want you to listen and support and just be like, hey, because I feel like, especially for men, we don't get listened to enough, and most people feel unheard, unseen, unloved. And so when we're
Hmm.
able to fulfill one and maybe all three of those at one time just by listening, like that's a big jump. And Michael Faber shared the suicide numbers for men per month: 68,000 men. Like that is almost a million people a year. Like
Mm.
we have an issue to solve, and we need to figure out how to get those numbers down. And Frank King was on here last Monday, and he talked about how his mission was just to save one life per day. That's
Hmm.
seven. That's seven a week. That's
Yeah,
365. I mean, that is powerful.
it is
And so
powerful.
so that's one of the things is with this awareness month that I don't know what initiative I'm gonna come up with. I'm sure that I'm gonna listen to smart people like you and get together and come up with some type of mission to do something about this, to bring more awareness, but also just bring awareness of listening and how important it is. And so
Yeah, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing, Dwayne, because when you came to me, a few weeks back, and you mentioned this idea that you had about reaching people, but specifically reaching men, I and having men on here, I thought it was a fantastic idea that you would have 30 men in 30 days, and to bring more awareness to mental health. Because as you said, those numbers, like a million a year, is staggering, and we've got to do something about it. So let's not get too busy in life that we can't take time to listen and to be there for somebody, and to truly ask hard questions sometimes. Because how often do when we ask a question do we get, oh, things are great, things, no, 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 no. How are you really doing? Like, let's dive deeper into this to find out, because I know there are a lot of people that know a lot of people who are struggling with issues in their life. So let's not be afraid to not only listen, but let's ask the harder questions.
Yeah. So another thing too is I realized for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is for a couple of people that had said it too, but also how my feelings is, it doesn't just have to be from a brotherhood. There's a sisterhood too that is supportive also.
Yeah,
That I feel
absolutely.
like people try to put us against each other all the time, like male, female. Like there's a lot of people who supported me that were from my sisterhood too, and I think that's really important. And is to be able to be open for both, and to just
Hmm.
be able to be open for support. And so that
Yes.
was the main thing for me was like I didn't want it just to be this is men's mental health awareness, but like that isn't the all do all. Is like hey, go hang out, and I felt like the culture had been, hey, just go to a bar, go drink your problems away, and you find somebody to trauma bond. And for me, I just feel like that's not sustainable either, because eventually that turns into a crutch. And so, one of the things that I wanted to ask
Hmm.
was with your book and being able to have a hold on these children to be able to share that perspective. How important how important is that for you to be able to show the mental health awareness part to those kids through you? I think things don't happen to us, doesn't happen for us. Like when it really truly is like divinely supported, it happens through you. And so I just wanted to share that perspective with you.
Yeah. I just want to be in my life, Dwayne, is I just want to be a tool. I want to be a tool that is used. And so whatever skill set that I have or the skill set that I create over time, because my life over the last 3 years, 3.5 years is just evolving. And so when I look back 3 years ago, I look at what I was doing then and what I'm doing now, and it blows me away because I just made myself available and these things just started to happen. I talk about, imagining a better world, doing the things that are around us. And the more that we do that, the more our eyes are open up to the opportunity for what is to be for us to be used out there in this world. So if we make ourselves available, we give ourselves the time, we think, we imagine, like so many things can be created through it. So I'm excited, like with my books, to be able to help children, to help adults, because the first 5 years of a kid's life, a kid is not reading in those first few years, right? So it's a parent reading to the child. And when I get pictures of parents, sitting in a chair, laying on the bed, in a beanbag, and hanging out with their kids and reading my books. Like that means so much to me because it's me being able to connect through my books to kids and to family. And knowing that, these parents and these kids are being impacted in a way that maybe the kids don't even understand at that moment in time. But the more that we can do that, the more that we make ourselves available, then the greater opportunity that we can create for other people to have a healthier life, whether it's an adult and or a children. But I think that through this, my books, I'm just so excited because as I get to share, as what we talked about initially, is like it just gives me goosebumps to talk about impacting lives of children.
Absolutely. So one thing I just want to give you, okay? This is a gift for you. It's like I'm a mindset guy. So you said the word used a couple of times. I want you to just the energy behind that is almost like kind of not great, right? It's not utilized. Whenever I started changing that word, when I do things for purpose, I feel better about it. When I tell people that I want to be utilized rather than used, they feel better, and I just want to share that with you. I think that that's that's a gift for me to you, but also like I feel like that will help you support you in that energy shift. So I just wanted to share that with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dwayne. I receive
Absolutely,
it.
I was given. Love that you receive it. All right, so we're almost at the 30-minute mark. Where can people find you and share where they can purchase the book?
Yeah. So my books can be found on Amazon. And you can go to Russell Rogers on there. There's the Today books, there's the Imagine If books, there's Unplugged, which is unplugging from devices. In addition to that, you can also go through my Instagram, which is Russell Rogers Official. And then also, on LinkedIn and or, Facebook under Russell Rogers. But Instagram is the best way. You can DM me on there if you have any questions, you want to talk about anything with regards to mental health or talking about impacting kids. You want to find my books. You want to have me come to your school and to speak. Any of those things are available. I am available and would love to chat with those that are listening.
Okay, well, that was interesting. I lost the internet for a second. So I don't know if it's still on live feed or not. I just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for the support, and looking forward to growing our friendship, relationship, and speaking on stages. And when I do this event again next year, I definitely want you to hop in and have a
Awesome.
bigger
Thank you
role.
so
But
much.
I don't know what we're gonna do next year, but I feel like there's a lot of momentum to build for next year, build for something else. So I just want to share that with you, and you've been a
Thank you
big
so
part of
much.
that, and I appreciate that. And
I
so,
appreciate you, Dwayne. Thank you
as
so much for
episode,
having me on this, man.
absolutely, I couldn't have done it without you. That was the other part. It was such a part at the very beginning where I knew it was supported when you and another person were able to help me and support me, and I was just like, okay. Then my belief in it even grew much more. So I just want to say thank you for
I
being able
appreciate
to
that.
support me in the best and highest way, man. All right, so
100%,
that
man.
is
Thank you so
episode
much.
24.
We
Absolutely.
did it.
So this is episode 24, and episode 25 is tomorrow. We have six. It's less than a week, man. Left. It's crazy to think how
Great
fast
job,
this is
man.
going
Thank you
by.
so much.
Thanks. All right, let's see if we can get this off live before I lose connection again.